RGV Startup Week. It's been a really great experience, and today's really unique because we're spread across the entire valley. We're here in Brownsville today. Some of the other team members are in McAllen right now, and then later on this afternoon, some of those team members will also be in Weslaco as well. So it's the first time in our second annual celebration that we're all across the Rio Grande Valley. Today's really special because it's really about the state of real estate in Cameron County. And we were proud to partner with OrgoWorks to bring the entire series of events today being held at the eBridge Center. So it's my pleasure to introduce the Director of Development for OrgoWorks, Mr. Ramiro Gonzalez.
Thank you, sir. So let's give it a round of applause to Nathan, please. I know he's been at it for more than a month or two, and he doesn't stop. A year. Nathan, somebody was asking me, this is the second RGV Startup Week, right? And so I think the plan is to keep it going, keep it growing. I know there's, like Nathan said, there's been events since Saturday in Harlingen, starting Friday, right? And so, a little bit about today, if you all had a chance to look at the schedule. This is really all things real estate kind of focused in Cameron County. This morning, we're going to kind of dive into Harlingen and Brownsville, and then right around 11:15, we'll go into commercial real estate in Cameron County. So we'll go, kind of zoom out a little bit to Cameron County, and then we're going to have right after lunch. So we're going to have a break for lunch between 12 to 12:30. La Huera hamburgers will be in the courtyard back there. And so we're looking forward to that. And then after that, we'll have a conversation on design. We'll bring up architects from Cameron County and another great architect in Orange Maid from Hidalgo County. We're not blocking out Hidalgo at all. And then to round out the day, we'll have a conversation on nearshoring and industrial development. And so we put together a really good setup today, and it should be a great conversation. So thank you all for being here. Spread the word, get more people here. I think obviously as the day goes on, we'll have more people in attendance. But anyways, so to get us started, we're going to go ahead and start with Harlingen. And so we have a great moderator. We have a great panel. Our moderator has been working for the Harlingen EDC for over 6 years. I've had the pleasure of meeting her maybe 2-3 months ago. She's great. She's dynamic. And her name's Beverly Loftus. And so please help me welcome her. I think if the panelists want to come up and sit down, that would be great.
While they're walking up, I'll introduce our panelists. That way they can get comfortable. Our first panelist is Orlando Campos from the Harlingen EDC. He is bringing over 28 years of experience in economic development. He's a Brownsville native and a Columbia University graduate. He began his career at the Brownsville EDC and then later held leadership roles at Valley International Airport, the Arlington Chamber of Commerce, and the economic development for the town of Addison. In Addison, he helped attract major companies like Hilton, Google, Wingstop, and then led tourism efforts and co-founded the Addison Treehouse, which supported 125 plus startups and then over $10 million in investments. He's named one of the D Magazine's most influential business leaders, and then Campos returned to the Rio Grande Valley after 16 years in North Texas. And he now lives in Harlingen, and we're so proud to have him at the EDC. So Julio Carranza is a business leader and entrepreneur based in Edinburgh, Texas, and the owner of CJE Construction. He also has a background in real estate and mortgage finance, and he develops high-quality homes, multifamily communities, and commercial projects across South Texas. He's also a founding member and vice chairman of the South Texas Builders Alliance. And then Julio also advocates for smart growth, industry best practices and regional collaboration. We're proud to have him with some really good developments in Harlingen as well. Cynthia Loya is joining us this morning. She is a real estate professional with over 20 years of experience. She specializes in residential sales across the Rio Grande Valley. She's also been working in the commercial space as well and construction space. As a licensed agent with Keller Williams, she combines deep market knowledge with a strong commitment to her clients. Cynthia actively serves on multiple boards, including the Harlingen Board of Realtors, the Cameron County Housing Finance Corporation, and the Harlingen Area Education Foundation. So we're proud to have her as well here today. Thank you. Okay, can everyone hear me? All right, so I'm super excited. Not only do I get to help moderate a panel with my boss, we also have some really great folks here, so very excited. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're really excited to be able to dive into a conversation about growth and development happening in Harlingen and, of course, Cameron County. From economic development to construction, we're really seeing a lot of momentum in the region. And so we've brought together these panelists to talk about what they're seeing as they do their work on the ground. So we're going to set the stage a little bit. Let's start by doing some introductions as far as what you're seeing. And I'm going to start with Orlando, and then I'll go to Cynthia and Julio. You can answer briefly. It doesn't have to go into too much depth, but basically, Orlando, what type of projects are you currently prioritizing or are being prioritized by the EDC, and then why? Why are those being prioritized?
Sure. Well, I've been back here in the Valley for the last 2 years, and so after being away for 16 years, coming back, I've noticed quite a bit the change that has happened here in the entire region, and it's all been great. I think that's one of the reasons that I decided to come back, simply because I wanted to be part of the future growth of the entire region itself. And so in Harlingen, one of the reasons that I chose Harlingen is because it's centrally located in the entire Rio Grande Valley, sort of right at the heart of the two larger growing areas in the entire region. And I also felt that Harlingen had sort of lagged behind a lot of the growth. It was sort of seen as a city that you just drove through or flew into and went somewhere else. But I recognized that there were a lot of opportunities that existed in that community, and I wanted to be part of that growth. In terms of some of the things that we're seeing in the community in terms of growth and future growth itself, is that a lot of the catalyst projects that have started being developed here in the entire region are starting to have an impact, not just in the community where they're being built, but obviously throughout the entire region itself. In Harlingen, obviously, there are a lot of new residential developments that are taking shape. But as far as industry is concerned, Harlingen has long been known as a location with a very strong medical sector. And so obviously that's one of the sectors that continues to grow within the community itself. We've got 4 hospitals with Valley Baptist Hospital, Harlingen Medical Center, the VA hospital, as well as the state hospital, and all of them are helping to attract a lot of individuals in the medical industry to the community. When I came on board, our mayor and our city commission said, you know, there are 2 things that we need to strengthen our efforts on, and that is helping to support small businesses and entrepreneurs, and we also have to focus on diversifying our local economy, trying to grow and attract new industrial clients to the community. So our focus are basically in those areas themselves. And then we're also focusing in on enhancing the quality of life as well for the residents and new individuals that might be relocating to the community. We're in the process of working on a major mixed-use development near the hospital district that has been designed by the same architect that helped build La Cantera in San Antonio, which many of you might be familiar with. This development will not only include retail, but also residential developments as part of that area. And so we're hoping to have an announcement on that within the next few months or so. And so I think that that will become a destination and a new location that the entire region is sort of hungry and seeing here in the Rio Grande Valley. We've got plenty of great things happening that are on our plate. We had a board meeting last night. We thought it would be a fast board meeting. It took quite a bit of time simply because there were a lot of complex projects that we had to talk about and get their feedback on. But it's great to see that everyone's on the same page in the community and moving forward.
Awesome. Thank you, Orlando. Save some of that for the next questions. I'm like, no, it's okay. That's the one thing I love about my boss. He's so good at answering questions. So thank you for that. Okay, Cynthia, considering your work in the commercial space and your work with clients, talk to us a little bit about how you collaborate with local government agencies such as the EDC and the city as well to make sure that your clients' developments or even your own developments are being successful.
I think he said everything I was going to say. He took the words from my mouth. But yeah, meeting with them and just being on top of everything, knowing what they're doing, what's coming to the valley is what's helping us grow. And before I used to say, well, we have a lot of healthcare and a lot of law enforcement. That's why people move here. Now I can throw in SpaceX and, LNG and all that stuff. So we do see a lot of people moving here. I had one from Houston last week. I had one from Michigan, from MIT, come in the other day. So they are coming to the valley because, of course, we're growing. And you are right, like Harlingen was very small, quiet. It was a winter Texan town, and now it's growing. Our taxes are going up. Everyone's upset about that, but I think that's across the board. But yeah, to work with them is great. To be informed. They do a really good job about emailing us, letting us know what's coming to the valley, what's opening. And I did overhear someone saying something about they have problems with the city getting permits or whatever. These guys help. They really do help. So if you ever have any clients that have issues, just reach out to them, and they always know someone to put you in contact with to help.
Awesome. Thank you, Cynthia. And we love being kind of that resource to business professionals and real estate professionals in that commercial space so we can help them overcome some of those challenges. It's not all the time, but sometimes it is. Okay, Julio. So briefly tell us a little bit about the scope of work that your firm works on throughout the valley. I know you're spread out, not just in Harlingen, but you're also working through the valley. So share us a little bit about what you do.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on this panel. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here and talking amongst other entrepreneurs here and leaders. So I'm a home builder in a nutshell, and I do land development. Our corporate office is in Edinburgh, and we do a lot of residential over there. But I came across some stuff in Cameron County. So if you know the Hidalgo County landscape, it's the largest county south of San Antonio, right, in population-wise. And when we went to the capital, they said that there's two large places in Texas. It's the triangle from DFW, San Antonio, and the Bay Area by Houston, and the second largest is here in South Texas, in the Rio Grande Valley. They call it the Rio Grande Valley. But I'm seeing a big shift from people wanting to move to Cameron County for two reasons. The two big employers that are down here now, and the cost. It's really, for a home buyer, it's cheaper to buy a house in Cameron County, or at least it was at least a year or 2 years ago, and land was cheaper. So we saw a few opportunities to be able to invest in the area. And believe it or not, I took it as a challenge because about 5 years ago, I started building a ton of multifamily. And it was tough. I mean, Harlingen had a reputation of having a difficult permitting process, and it was very difficult. However, I took it as a challenge and said, no way, we got to, break through that barrier. And honestly, not just because they're here, the EDC was instrumental. Specifically, Beverly, she was on there from the beginning when we were doing some stuff. And we got some opportunities to buy some land, and it's been a long time in the making. However, it's becoming very exciting seeing it come to fruition. And so the type of projects are residential, and mixed use in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you, Julio. I know you mentioned about kind of affordability, and Orlando, really briefly, just share a little bit about the report that came out regarding Cameron County as the #1 economic viable location. If you could just share briefly about that, because that speaks to Julio's comment.
I'll send you a link.
He'll send you a link.
Now, a few months ago, there's a magazine called Area Development Magazine, and it's basically what's called a site selection publication that's distributed to businesses throughout the country and also the world. So they partner up with an economics and analytics firm that looks at different metro regions throughout the country, taking into account the political as well as economic climate that's happening throughout the country. And so they try to identify the regions throughout the country that are the most economically vibrant based on job growth, on the cost of living, educational resources, and things like that. So for the first time ever, the Brownsville-Harlingen metro area was at the top of that list, outpacing larger metro areas. Number 2 was the Miami-Dade County area, followed by a few other areas in Florida and other parts of the country itself. But the importance of that is obviously that given that study, there are more and more companies and more individuals that are now looking at this area as the next area of opportunity and growth and possible relocation. So we know that SpaceX has brought in a lot of individuals, made a huge investment, the LNG plants themselves as well. But the growth is not going to stop anytime soon. It's going to continue for many years to come. The good thing about that is that obviously these are high-paying jobs that are being brought into the community itself. As an economic developer, our focus is to bring in investment, but also create jobs and to bring in high-paying jobs to the community, because the more wages that you have in the community, the more of an opportunity for some of those wages to trickle into other ancillary support services. And so I don't want to continue, otherwise Beverly's going to get angry at me.
Okay.
So I'll end it at that.
All right, and then one thing on that report, two of the factors that helped Cameron County rank #1 as economic viability is access to labor force and low housing, or easier cost of housing or lower cost of housing as far as residential is concerned. So that helped us. So thank y'all for that. But Orlando mentions growth, and so that's going to kind of lead us into our next set of questions. And it's really all about growth and trends and what's driving the activity in the region. We know SpaceX is, we know LNG is, but let's talk a little bit about maybe some unique residential trends that we're seeing right now. Not only with the population growth in our area, but how is that influencing the residential development? Is it influencing it to a point where, certain types of residential developments need to occur to look toward the future, or are you seeing something different? So what are those trends that you're seeing in residential markets, Cynthia?
It's pretty much the same. The smaller homes, 2,000 square feet and below, is what's selling the most. I remember the price per square foot being $110, $120 a couple years back. Now we're at $185 a square foot. And I'm like, I wouldn't pay for that, but hey, they're buying them. So it's just crazy how much the price has gone up, but they are selling. A lot of farmhouses is what's being requested. Just last year, I sold 34 acres to Your Homes. They developed their subdivision off of Paloma. I believe they have 140 lots. And then I had a doctor buy over 100 acres on Ed Carey to develop for the future, that his son is in college right now. He bought that for his son to develop when he comes back. So they're already buying just for the future because of the price we're getting. You got a lot of those farmers that have all this land and they're getting old and they're wanting to sell and get that money. So a lot of subdivisions are coming. I was just at a ribbon cutting in Primera, which is pretty much Harlingen. It's right next door. They're building 140 houses, and they're getting a McDonald's right on the corner. So that's going to be very popular. So it's not going to slow down. A lot of people in real estate are worried, oh, I'm not selling anything. You know, should I go get a real job? That's what I always call it, a real job. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but you guys need to get on those phones and, you know, start calling, because real estate is not slowing down for us at all.
Thank you. And Julio, same question is kind of what kind of design and construction trends are you seeing in what you're doing with your projects, and anything that you may have to shift or change looking forward to the future?
Yeah, so what I've been doing here in both in Hidalgo County and Cameron County is more high-density homes, and something that caters to the millennials, right, or the baby boomers, because the baby boomers right now are the ones nationally buying more homes than millennials at this point in time in this first quarter. So, and I attribute that to them being empty nesters. Some of them want to downsize, and they just want to have their own thing. So what we're doing in Harlingen is a luxury townhome subdivision that is going to be connected to walkable areas within a few seconds, right? Not even minutes. They're, you know, down the street from HEB, Golden Corral, Applebee's, the IMAX, and we're going to be building a food park where people will just go in there and have a variety of places to go eat and have some drinks, you know, something very close-knit that you see in San Antonio and Austin. That is currently in the works, and that is it's already rezoned for that. So, but for going back to residential, high density, low maintenance, and luxury. People like that. It's going to be a risky investment, but I think it's necessary because luxury has its own niche. And those are the ones that are not really too worried about the cost. The cost is always a thing. Cost is always going up. And I kind of see, you know, realtors and lenders are busy, but on the building side, I see homes, when you're building speculative, they have been longer on the market. We are seeing a margin compression. So if you're building spec homes and you're getting a line of credit, and you got the line of credit a year ago, 2 years ago, you're at 9.5%, 9%. What happens when you're in that for about 6, 7, 8 months, right? Now you got about 8% of a margin compression as a builder. And you have to add concessions and add these things, right? So you keep building, right? I gotta keep building. I gotta build more, actually, right? So that I can be able to come up with those margin compressions. So again, off on a tangent, right? But I'm building more high density homes so that we can fit in a lower cost of the lot. And that's what cities are not seeing. They were before, not Harlingen, they're spearheading this. Well, we want minimum 65-foot width and minimum 120-foot lot. Now you got a very large lot on entry level. At the end of the day, the cost per square foot remains the same. And if I'm selling at $10 a foot, the one that's going to end up paying is the end consumer. So if they start doing high density homes or lots, you can do high density homes, which lowers the cost of the lot. Understand that before, lots were about $20,000, right? It consisted about 1/5 of the cost of the whole home. Now it's 1/3 of the cost of the whole home. Really understand that when someone's trying to buy a house, $100 will break them. Understand that $100, if you're in finance and mortgaging, the $100 will make a difference. So to further assist homeowners is we're trying to vertically integrate our company. So we just opened up a mortgage company, a broker. And if you know, again, about finance, the interest rate is directly correlated to the compensation of the originator making that loan. So if the originator makes more money, guess who pays it? The end consumer, right? So I can go on about that, but high density homes is the name of the game right now.
Thank you for that. I know when we were working on our master project plan, we had a consultants come in and do a kind of a study on the market. And, you know, to your point, Cynthia and Julio, the region is okay with smaller footprint homes. They will take 2,000 square feet or less, or even smaller, like 1,600 square feet. They're selling really quickly, and smaller space is okay. So that's a good thing for development too. Okay, so Orlando, kind of briefly thinking about SpaceX and LNG and their future needs for, they're going to be hiring a lot more folks. They have a lot right now. But what kind of housing needs are they going to need, and how can we better prepare Harlingen and Cameron County to support those needs?
I think that question is sort of a good segue into what Julio was talking about, in the sense that he's building high-density luxury type of developments. And so I think a lot of people that grew up in the valley are probably used to having a backyard, a one-story home, things like that. But these type of projects, the SpaceX, the LNG projects, these are companies that are attracting individuals from other parts of the country, many of which are used to these type of developments as well. Prior to relocating here to back home to Cameron County, I lived in Addison in the Dallas area, and I had a 3-story townhome. One of the things that I liked about it is that I didn't have to worry about a yard at all. I had an HOA, pay them. They take care of all the outside maintenance, so I was able to spend a little bit more time on the weekends not doing yard work as well. And so I think that a lot of people that are, these companies are relocating a lot of individuals. As a matter of fact, I attended a meeting last week with the RG LNG project, and they said, we're at about 4,000 people right now. We're going to peak at 6,000, and so our growth is going to continue into the future, and we'll likely have enough work for at least 200, or rather 10 to 20 years into the future. And then when you think about it, there's another similar project that's coming down the pipeline, and then you have SpaceX that's continuing to grow. Their concern is that there's a shortage of housing here in the area. They've also said this summer alone, we're relocating about 200 individuals that won't be from the valley itself. And so these individuals will have a need for short-term homes, but eventually they'll turn into permanent residents. So at that pace, just for this company, you start thinking about the needs that exist here and understand that they're coming from other parts of the world that are used to these type of developments and will be looking for these type of developments. So there is a need, there is a future market demand that will continue to impact not just Brownsville, but basically the entire Rio Grande Valley. They also said, Brownsville is obviously benefiting the most because they want to be within close proximity. But then when they bring in a whole family, they have to think about the school districts themselves, the opportunities that will exist for them, the healthcare, school districts, the quality of life. And so they said a lot of our senior executives are choosing to live in Harlingen because of the reputation that the community has as well. So when you think about it, a rising tide raises all ships. And so projects like these are impacting the entire region itself.
Thank you. All right, so I know we are close to being out of time, so I want to ask each of y'all a question. It'll be the same question and allow all of y'all to respond. Julio, we'll start with you, but we've talked a little bit about Harlingen and the growth, Cameron County, but what really, and you can speak this as a region, not just Harlingen, but throw in some Harlingen points too. So what does Cameron County and Harlingen really have going for it right now? We know that there's a lot. We've talked about it this morning, but what is it that gives it that competitive edge compared maybe to other parts of the valley or even the state? What would your message be to businesses out there and residents, like why come to Harlingen? Why come to Cameron County?
If it's a business, it's going to be cost, right? To start up, the cost is going to be way less than other areas of the state or even the country. And it's I would like to say, an untapped market for a lot of starting up. So if you have the richest man in the world that came here, he saw the vision, there must be a reason for it. You don't got to reinvent the wheel. You don't got to think too hard about it, right? It's very receptive to outside investment. We have, I think, the best talent in the world. So if we retain a lot of the talent here, it's better put for use for us in the area if we just keep it all in here and we attract outside people to invest with us, but there's a lot of players in the area, man. I mean, there's a lot of people with a lot of money that want to reinvest and keep growing here. We are a resilient economy. And I'll tell you this, and everybody should know this, there's really no 401k based companies in the area. What drives our economy is health and government. And by government, we're talking about school districts, county employees, and law enforcement. And both local, state, and federal. We are a focal point in the world right now because of this deportation policies and the border crisis that we have. There's a lot of dollars that are being invested here. When they start doing infrastructure on the wall, when they start putting more security from the state side, where are these people staying? Where are they eating? Where are they spending their dollars when they need to buy ibuprofen, when they need to buy toiletries? It all stays here. So we're a very resilient economy. There is a very young marketplace here. There is not a lot of older generation individuals. So a lot of the younger market I'm thinking, they have the whole self-development, entrepreneur, I can do this, first generation American that have really succeeded with the opportunity to be in the greatest country in the world. We are on the border. Most people here are with Hispanic descent, right? Mexican, Central American, whatever the case is. And we are first generation where we're saying, hey, I don't want to go back to that. I want to make sure that I bust my butt, I work hard, and I keep doing what's good for the community because our kids are going to live here. So I think that's what it is.
It's a great answer. Thank you, Julio. Cynthia, do you want to add anything to that?
I think I'm going to say the schools. Our school district is very, very good. We have a lot of people coming in, doctors, medical, and they'll say, hey, I picked Harlingen because I did my research on the schools. So that's another thing. We have, I believe, 17 elementary schools, 4 high schools. We have the collegiate. We have juniors and seniors now taking college courses. So they are graduating already with that. And that's a big plus for Harlingen. And of course, I always say Harlingen, but it is also Combs and Primera, even La Feria is next door. So we do have a lot of people moving here for that reason.
Orlando, you want to close us out on that question on what are some of the competitive edge, interests that Harlingen has, and how are we staying competitive?
Sure. Well, Harlingen is really a great place to live and to work. And I say that not because I live and work in Harlingen, but because I was born and raised in Brownsville. I attended Canales Elementary just down the street on International, Falk Middle School, and graduated from Gladys Porter High School. So I know what this community is all about. So when I decided to come back to the Valley, I chose Harlingen as the place where I wanted to live. And so I thought of myself as my own little company that was relocating to the Valley, and I chose Harlingen primarily for 2 reasons. One, the political environment within the city itself. It's very stable, very pro-business. And 2, the location. I wanted to enjoy everything that the Valley had to offer, down from Brownsville all the way up to the Upper Valley. And I felt that it was a shorter drive if I chose a location right in the middle. So similarly, a lot of businesses that are not here in the area that are looking to establish operations in the Valley, they're not just working in one city. They want to take advantage of all the opportunities that exist throughout the Rio Grande Valley. So one of the advantages that we have is being located right in the center of the main growth areas of the entire Rio Grande Valley. And we're starting to see that. I think in the next few weeks, we'll make an announcement of a company that is going to establish their regional offices for the Valley in Harlingen that will attract a lot of engineers and have very high average wages. And so they'll be the first of others to come that will start feeding in to the residential developments that are taking shape. So all I can say is watch out, because here we come.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to end with that. I just want to provide a couple comments really to thank our panelists again for joining us. Thank you to the partners who put on the RGV Startup Week, and then thank you to Origo Works as well for asking us to be here to participate on this panel. They have a couple developments in Harlingen, some really, really great developments. So we're excited to continue to work with them. So thank you all to our audience as well for being here, joining us this morning. If you have any questions for our panelists or us afterward, feel free to chat with us. I think we're going to have another panel coming up soon. So thank you again.